Albert Einstein once observed that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another.
Hi, and welcome to the Satori Show with your host, Amy Satori, your intuitive spiritual counselor. Amy's work centers around the energy that is in everything and everywhere. Her rare ability is to identify the energy from any source, and with the help of her guides on the other side, provides an incredibly accurate assessment of what's really going on, albeit with people living or past, pets, the human body, and her specialty, twin flame relationships. And now we're proud to announce that the show is live at the Lighthouse Bookstore every Sunday night from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So you can talk to Amy and see for yourself just how special her abilities really are. Just call 256-291-1191. So now sit back and join me, Kevin McDonald, as we present this episode of the Satori Show.
And welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Kevin McDonald, and yes, you found the Satori Show. And with Amy Satori, who is your host. Amy, hi.
Hello. How are you?
Today, yes, I'm good, and I know you're good too, but today we're going to talk about something that's very special that I personally have a problem with, and I know Travis, who is our producer, who's also on the line with us, he has a problem with, and that's the subject of proper boundaries. Would you kind of talk about that a little bit, please?
Yeah, that's quite the subject. Oh my gosh, it's
go.
something. Yeah, I know, right? Okay, I'm just trying to think. All right, so a lot of people go through life playing it like a game, and they figure out they're like chameleons. Now, this is our, by the way, this is the ego, so maybe we can even talk about the role of the ego. But the ego is all about survival. And I think the ego is also the devil. If there's a devil, it's the ego. So the ego looks through our eyes and tries to figure out maximum survival skills. So it interacts with everybody in its world and tries to come up with, okay, what can I gain from this particular, let's use friendship as an example. What can I gain from this friend, and what do I have to give in exchange to keep it? So, and a lot of this happens subconsciously, and we're not even aware of it. So I'll use the case of somebody that I know who had an ex-girlfriend that called him a lot. And he'd fooled himself into thinking, oh, I'm just doing it. I just keep taking her calls and taking her text messages because she's such a nice person and she needs me. And I said, you wouldn't be allowing this unless you were getting something out of it too. So don't fool yourself. And he was like, no, it's all about her. I really have nothing to do with it. I really am not in it for me. And I kept insisting, there's something in it for you or you wouldn't be doing it. And that's the case with all of us. If you're allowing it, there's something you're getting out of it. And if you can figure out what you're trying to get out of it, then you'll stop trying to manipulate it. Because either you can do it just honestly and straightforward, or you can continue to manipulate. So what he was after is that, and some of us will be like, oh, we just want to be a victim. We just want to have an excuse to have ill behavior. So we're going to be a victim of this situation or of this person or whatever. So we stay stuck, not realizing that the liberation would be, so much better of a feeling. Or we're afraid if we do this, then they're going to take away the gold that I have in them. Say somebody, whenever you're around them, gives you massages every time you see them. You'd be apt to be like, hey, I kind of want to keep this person around. So then they're like, they do something really crappy, and you're just like, oh, that was kind of shitty. And then they do this other thing, and then they do this other thing, and you're like, that's kind of crappy too. I kind of don't like that either. Oh, that made me feel uncomfortable. But the whole time you're saying in the back of your head, but he gives me massages every time he sees me, you know? And that's what we do. And so we keep allowing the ill behavior because we want whatever the reward is. And the reward could just be acceptance, to be liked, to be approved of. But if you can give yourself all those things, like from an honest place, like if you give yourself self-acceptance, you don't need anybody else's acceptance. If you're totally okay with who you are and what you're doing and what you're about, that's all you need. If you need massages, every time you see someone, go pay a massage therapist, sorry. If you need conversation, you need stimulating conversation, and they're kind of a muddled, they give you stimulating conversation, but you have to kind of put up with all their drama and all that kind of stuff. Find a friend who's just about the deep conversations. There's like a billion, I don't know how many billions of people out there. You can pick and choose pretty much any combination of person you want to hang around and be friends with. You don't have to settle for allowing yourself to be put in really uncomfortable circumstances or situations in order to make those people happy or please them. I know a lot of people, I'll talk about one particular client. She's going to come on at some point and talk about boundaries on the show at some point, but she has parents that she's taking care of. And her mother is very demanding, and she is an old woman who is just nasty and mean. And you would think, when I'm an old lady, I'm going to be sweet as pie, man, because I'm going to be like, you might have to, do some things for me that are going to be very uncomfortable for you. So I'm going to be so nice to you. That manipulation right there. But it's like, you would think that a little old lady would be nice to you, right? But I've seen it so much because I was in that industry. But they'll just be bitter and mean and expect you to treat them really nice and bend over backwards and do everything. So she's treating my client really bad. And we've been working on her being able to kind of stand up for her. And so what I told her is, you let her know the rules from now on, whatever those rules are. So it could be, Mom, I don't want you calling me past 8 o'clock unless it's an emergency. And if you do call past 8 o'clock, I'm not going to pick up your call. Or, you set the boundaries however you want to set them. You want to make sure that you would still be available, obviously, in an emergency situation. But you can have, like, if you do this, if you do call, and I asked you not to call past this time and you still do it and it wasn't an emergency, here's going to be the consequence. I'm not going to bring you lunch the next day like you love. Or I'm not going to pay for this like I normally do. Every time that you do that, you get something taken away, just like with a child. And you have to kind of train people how to treat you. I had somebody call the other, I have people call me on my days off on Sundays, and they're talking to me about work stuff. And it's like, don't I get at least one day, to just play and have fun and soak up the sun and smile and laugh and giggle and not have to think about work? Why would somebody call me on a Sunday or text me on a Sunday about a bunch of stuff? So I won't answer them back because I want to train them. Call me on a work day or contact me on a work day, or you won't get a response.
Well, it's interesting, Amy.
You got to put yourself first. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, see, in your line of work and what you do, it's all about being a spiritual counselor. And so when you have people call you in your off time and they say, I was wondering, how do you feel about this? Isn't that violating a boundary of your personal time versus your professional time?
Well, yeah, I have people who are fooling themselves thinking they want to be my friends, and I know darn well they really don't care about me at all. Or maybe they might find me entertaining, or think I'm kind of cool. But at the same time, it's like if they're calling me at these weird times when they don't have any other plans at all with anybody else, and you're like the last person they're coming to, and they're calling you and they kind of like manipulate you, and they're talking to you at first like, hey, what are you doing? And then you're like, why? And they're like, well, I don't know, I was about to head out with some friends. I'm like, really? Like, I'm not invited, but I won't say that. But I'll be like, really? Okay. Yeah, you're going to go head out with some friends, huh? I'm still going to humor you for a minute here. And then they'll go on and on. You know, all this drama happened with this person and that person and la, la, la. And then they'll, like, 20 minutes into it, and I've had this great movie paused, you know, and I might be drinking and relaxing and having a good time. I might be talking to my roommates and cooking or whatever I'm doing. I'm having a really good time, but I paused for 20 minutes listening, giving this person the benefit of the doubt. And then all of a sudden they say, where do you think everybody's coming from in this drama? Like, where do you think, could you tap into each person and kind of tell me, like, what you think? And, you know, who's being honest here and who's, and I, in that particular phone call, because this did actually really happen, and I just stopped and I said, are you seriously calling me on my time off? And you've just like butted into my movie by 20 minutes when I was really having a good time, and you're asking me to work on my day off right now? And she's like, she does counseling herself. And I said, you know, do your clients call you on a Saturday night? Well, I mean, and I've been in those situations where you give and give and give and give and give to all these wonderful people, and you think they've got your back. And then I've been homeless and have them completely turn their backs on me, not giving me any food, not giving me any money, not even helping me or anything. It's like they treat you like you have the plague, and they just want to get away from you. So I've had these people that I've totally given money to, you know, helped them out in the same types of situations and stuff, and have those very people not be there for you. So you really do have to have your own back. I mean, even your family, it doesn't even matter. Family, if your family treats you disrespectfully, then have nothing to do with that person, or minimize your exposure to that person. But get in a place to where you don't care. You know, that you do the minimal you can to do the responsible thing, so that you can alleviate have your own conscience taken care of, so that you can feel good about this situation. But, you know, put your foot down. Put your foot down and know your limit and say, this is it, and this is all I'm giving to you. And quit enabling people, too. When you enable people and when you allow them to manipulate you, not only do they lose respect for you, but they know how to play you and control you. And that's just not a healthy relationship, and they really don't even like you. It's the funniest thing that happens. Like, people like you so much more when they know they're getting the real you. I mean, with me, it's like if I show up at your lunch or at your dinner, people are like, whoa, because they know I must care if I'm there. I must like you if I'm here, because I just don't show up to things willy-nilly. I have to be enjoying myself to go to something. So it's like a big compliment for them, because they know that I'm real, and they know that I would show up and I'd be like, this is really stupid, and I would just leave. You know what I mean? So it's so much more of a compliment to people that you'll hang out with them, and that you'll talk to them on your off time and all of that. It shows them, it makes them feel good about themselves and where they stand with you. And they also know that if you are not liking something they're doing, that they're going to know. You're not like sneaking around behind their back saying stuff about them, you know, and then smiling at their face. So it's like, you know, try to just be yourself, and it just will benefit everybody. And people need to be pulling their own weight. They learn so much more if you stop enabling them and you let God or let life kind of shape and mold them through the trials and tribulations. I mean, I'm glad that those people did turn their backs, because I learned a lot from that situation, and I learned to get out of that space of victimhood, and I learned to stand on my own 2 feet and to know that I was the only person that I could ever truly rely on. You know, so it makes you strong, and it builds you up. Sometimes falling on your face enables you to, you know, learn how to have your own back and to think in a more healthy way. So you can really rob people of a really life-enhancing epiphanies and realizations and things by enabling them and keeping them in that kind of sick place, that sick, unhealthy, manipulative place.
I got a question about that, Amy. And
okay.
The question I have is, apparently I am a simple guy, but there are people in this world who spend time really trying to figure out how to manipulate people and to manipulate situations for their own benefit. I don't have that much time, nor am I that devious of an individual. I can't imagine somebody taking the time to go, well, let's see, if I do this, then they'll do that, and then I'll do this, and then that's how I can manipulate them into getting what I want. Are there people that are really like that?
You know, yes. I hate to tell you, Kevin. No, I'm serious, though. I hate to tell you this, but you are that manipulative, and you do that. Let's just get real. You may not know. That's the only thing. And I say that to everybody because I hear people say this. Oh, I wouldn't do that, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you would, and it's time to get real because the minute you get real, then you can change it. You can be aware of it. We all do it. We all have an ego unless you're enlightened, and I just don't know about it. If you're enlightened, then the ego does not have a grasp on you any longer. But as long as you're a human being, a personality, and you call yourself by some name, you will manipulate. So if you can become aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it, then you can have power over it. Then you can catch yourself. Then you can say, take one fun thing to do or one fun game to play is to look at what am I getting out of this and what am I afraid to lose? And then how can I do this but with an integrity? It's like, am I afraid, like checking your own motives all the time. Am I doing this because I'm afraid this will happen? Am I doing this because I'm afraid to lose this person? Am I doing this? It's like you got to check yourself. You just constantly got to check yourself because then you can just, from that real place, you can take action. And then you can also be honest with the person. You can say, what you said really upset me and I thought about totally pulling back away from you. But, I didn't because I was afraid to lose this aspect of you. And that's when things go to a deeper level. That's when you guys are each discussing things on a really, intimate level, and you can be vulnerable with each other and just get real. And you can be like, hey, I'm sorry I did that. I was totally trying to manipulate you. But then you catch yourself. And if each person catches themselves just by being that self-aware, then you can work through it. But we all have those moments.
Well, so I have a question, and this is from the heart and honestly, because I do not consciously make decisions which would then expecting an outcome and expecting somebody else to react to what I say or do so that I can get a desired outcome. I don't ever do that. I'm not smart enough to figure out how to do that. So if for those people on an unconscious level, then how am I doing it? You're doing it totally subconsciously, and you're fooling yourself thinking that you wouldn't even react. You're taking a bet on people who you think would probably react favorably. The real test is when you take away their reaction as favorably and then see how you react. So, in whatever scenario you're talking about, you go to do, this from this pure place or whatever, and this person reacts in this other way that you weren't anticipating, and you start getting pissed off, then there you go. There's the revelation. There's you actually expecting them to have that perfect response, and they didn't. Now it gets personal. And now you see that, there was a condition in there. If they continue to act like this, or if they continue to give me what I want, then I'll be happy with them. But if they don't, all hell's going to break loose. You know what I mean? Well, it's not kinda. Well, let me give you. Hold on. Let me give you a scenario real quick. Okay. I came down to see you, and we had a wonderful time, and it was great. And then I went down to see my son, and his very, 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 very pregnant girlfriend. And in the course of those 4 days, I spent a lot of time and a lot of money getting to know her and buying them things so that they could have a dresser and a changing table and all that stuff. And I did it from the place of, this is what you need, and I don't care. You don't have to give me anything. I'm not expecting anything in return. It is not conditional. It is totally unconditional. And so, therefore, after the baby was born, I wanted pictures. Did I get pictures? No. Did they talk to me more than normal? No. Did I care? No, because that's their deal, not mine. I did for me what I did for me, which was to help them. And that was the extent of it. There is no precondition associated with that. I've got another one. I have another son who happens to be listening who needed my help financially. He and I have an agreement. That agreement is I helped him because I could. It's a gift. Period. We don't talk about it. It's done. He talks about it occasionally, but for me, it's all done. So from that standpoint, I feel like I'm doing it from the right heart place. Am I?
Well, you got to think. What if they completely cut you off and don't talk to you anymore? What if they start swearing you out or publicly humiliating you? You know, what if they do something like absolutely, totally, completely against you? Are you going to be hurt? Are you going to feel like that's unfair?
No, because that's, see, if I were to feel hurt, or if I were to feel like that's unfair, or that they've done me wrong, or that I deserve better than that, then I'm taking them out of the equation. What they do is what they do. I have no control over what anybody thinks of me. I have no control over what they do. All I can do is control me and what I do and how I do it. And that has to be enough. That
sounds very healthy.
Oh, good.
At
least one aspect of me is healthy.
Yeah, no, your giving needs to be from a place of I don't care what happens as a result. Correct. So your giving is a gift to yourself as well as to the other person. It's not dependent on their reaction or what they do with it.
So it actually was, for me it was self-serving because it made me feel good. Their response was secondary and really of no consequence because they were going to do what they do, and they're going to have stories about what they do and all that. But I can't be concerned with that because I have to be concerned with me. Am I right?
Now you will see if they have something that does end up making you react, that's when you'll see that you did have a subconscious condition. A lot of times we're not aware of it. But
I know, that's the scary part.
Yeah, you kind of have to have, and I think you do have this rule of like, and I'm the same way, I won't like lend somebody money. It's like I will either give it to them or not give it to them, but it's a gift because I never want that feeling of like, well, have you paid me back yet? Aren't you going to give that back yet? Wait, it's been 2 months now. I haven't gotten that back. Well, I was nice enough to lend that to you. You haven't given it back yet? You know? So
exactly.
Yeah. So you really just have to give.
Yeah, it creates, for me, from my perspective, and Travis, you feel free to interject here, but my perspective is that it's either a gift, and I don't want the energy of money or the energy of lack of money or the energy of you borrowed this and you need to pay me back. I don't want that energy in our relationship. And in any relationship that I have, in any way. If I can do something for you, I'll give you a great example. Travis, over the last 2 days, spent working with his friends and building something terrific and in their backyard, and it was painstaking, and it was a lot of work, and he may be asleep now, as a matter of fact, because he's very tired. But he did it for no other reason other than the fact that he loved his friends. Am I correct in that, Travis?
Yeah, that's right. And it was fun.
So that's what you got out of it.
Right. And I get to hang out with them because I don't get to hang out with them very often because, they're busy.
That's great.
So I got to hang out. I got to build stuff. And they appreciated it beyond belief. I got fed. I got beer. I'm happy.
Us McDonald's are
Sounds
simple
like a good
people.
Exchange. Somebody scratched your belly.
Yeah,
that's right.
But Amy, your point is well taken because if and this is for all of us, if we do something nice for somebody else, expecting them to do something nice for us, we're most of the time we're going to be sorely disappointed.
Oh yeah. And it just keeps us in a state of victimhood, and that's a trap. It's just a terrible trap.
It really is.
It keeps you completely stuck. Yeah.
So how would you give us some tools? Okay, it's tool time with Amy, with Tim Allen and Amy Satori. So give us some tools on how we can do this and give and live selfless lives, not selfless. That's the incorrect term, but a managing ourselves and not having it be dependent upon the actions of other people.
You know, I've been in a number of situations where, I tend to, or I did tend to in the past, want to keep whatever job I have. And so if I looked like I was losing my job, I would just have so much anxiety. You know, you depend on that money, and if it was to disappear, it'd be like, oh my gosh, total panic. And so I would do what I could to talk to whoever I needed to in my circle to correct everything and make it better. And I would talk to this person and talk to that person and just try to figure it out and involve all these people and do whatever, I'd be scrambling around trying to figure out how to keep my job or whatever. But now one of the things I've learned is that when you get in those situations where it's kind of out of your control, you have to realize that everything's pretty much out of your control. You think you can control things, but really there's like a divine purpose in it. And a lot of the times when things are falling apart, they're supposed to. But when there is, nowadays, if something happens around me that I feel like, holy crap, that is a big misunderstanding, or that is like, what? That doesn't even make sense. I will just completely hold tight. And I will just go really present in the moment and forget all about it as best I can. I just get really present. I don't make any big deal about it. And I just wait to see what's up around the corner if I can just trust it. So that's what I do. And I've even had people, in my industry, it's pretty competitive. And I had recently a gal who is another reader. She wanted to, I'm trying to think of how much to disclose here, but she basically wanted something I had. We could put it that way. And she acted like my friend and acted like we were sisters and would even say, I love you every time we were. And then I would give her free readings all the time. And she's a reader too, but she would ask me my input on all kinds of things and I would tell her. And then if I wanted input from her, she'd be like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to do anything. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's kind of strange. But that should have been an indicator right there. But then I found out she was acting different behind my back, apparently, I found out. And she was trying to manipulate her way to that thing that she wanted. And she was trying to manipulate the situation and go around, triangling to try to get to her goal. And she was totally manipulating the situation. And I had no idea at the time because I just didn't have my guard up around her at all until somebody came up to me and just said, you know what, she's not your friend. And instead of kind of freaking out about the situation and being like, oh my gosh, well, what the heck do I do? Who do I talk to? What do I, how do I respond to this? I just gave it to life. And I would even check in sometimes and be like, God, do you want me to say something about this? And I'd hear, no. And I'd be like, okay. And then it'd be like, God, do you want me to do something about this? Nope. Okay. And so I would check in sometimes. And I'd be like, is this being handled? And I'd get it, yep. And I'm like, okay. And then sometime I'd be in front of somebody and then I'd hear a prompting, tell her what happened, tell her this, or and then I'd be like, okay. So I'd open my mouth to the right people and I would keep my mouth shut around other people. And then it's just like I navigated the situation present in the moment, staying connected to God, asking questions. And I was kind of shown all these different things, but I never acted different around that person. I never treated them different. I didn't get angry. I didn't tell them, look, I know that you're, basically trying to steal from me or trying to this or that. I didn't do any of that. I just continued to love them, continued to accept them, continued to play around with them and be silly with them and still have, still enjoy the parts of our relationship that I did enjoy, but never trusted them again and never spoke to them about any kind of private matter again and never, just really keep myself on a superficial level with that person now. So
remember what I told you when you said she left today and she said I love you like a sister, and I said remember Cinderella,
right? Yeah, I just looked at her and I said, you have a lovely evening, where I normally would have been like, I love you too, I was just like, you have a lovely evening. And she kind of looked at me like, you're not buying into me anymore? Everybody believes I love them. Shit. Crap, what do I do now?
So by standing up for yourself and by standing in your own power.
I didn't need to stand up for myself. I just stayed really present and I trusted my guidance and just tried not to, get overly alarmed by the situation. So you just gotta trust life more. Don't try to control everything so much. We all tend to just want to scramble around and control everything from the outside. But honestly, it's like you will bring about the best circumstances by being really present and just being tapped into that source energy for the answers. And just being from a really heart-centered space, it's like the universe conspires to protect you and to have things work out for you when you're one with it. It's like when you're one with God, it's like they will do everything and anything to make everything work out in your favor. Trust me. You just have to surrender. You have to keep giving up. You have to keep letting go and keep letting things happen naturally. And just trust your guidance, trust your intuition each moment and each step that you take, that you're being guided. And you got to train yourself almost to the point where you can walk through grenades being thrown all around you, and you're just walking with that confidence of knowing that you're being divinely guided every step of the way, and just be confident with your head high and saying, I know things are going to work out in my favor somehow, and I will be led to what that is, no matter how uncertain and crazy the circumstance looks around me. You have to put your blinders on to any and all situations and circumstances and just learn to be in that peaceful space as much as possible.
Sometimes it's hard, but that's why we have people like you who can help us when we have those issues. And if you want to go talk to Amy, you can go to www.amysatori.com, book a session with her, and she can really help you understand a little bit more about yourself. I've learned something today, and it makes me just squirm a little bit and a little uncomfortable. But all those things that you do are there for our own benefit and to make ourselves a little bit better and a little bit more aware. And for that, Amy, I thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I'm glad to be able to help.
I know, because that's what you do all the time.
That goes for all of you. I've just been getting the most supportive, sweet, incredible letters lately. And I just want to thank you guys so much for you who are listening to the show on a regular basis and sharing this with your friends. I just really, really appreciate it. And I don't know, you guys are just awesome.
Well, I'll tell you, Amy, and you're right. We've been getting some really, really positive feedback. And the feedback that we're getting is that we are having an impact, that you are having an impact on people's lives. And I can't think of a higher calling than that. And for that, I appreciate you, and I thank you very much for what you're doing.
Well, and thank you, too. Thank you for your support. Thank you for putting all this together to be able to help all these people. This has been quite the thing.
Well, if truth be known, I have a nefarious underbelly of deceit and stuff for this. No, I'm kidding. I do this because, well, honestly, to be honest with you, 100%, I do this because I just love it. I love talking to you. I love talking to Travis. I'm so glad that he's involved with this. I just really feel passionate about making people feel good about themselves. Because if you feel good about yourself, you can make positive change in your life that ultimately affects everybody around you. And it's just a miracle.
Would you say that your life is different now since we've been doing the show?
Well, yeah. It's been phenomenal. I get excited about every Sunday when we do this. I get excited about it. It's fun for me to do. The information that we are giving people is just extraordinary. And I've also seen the coolest thing, I have to tell you, the coolest thing I've seen is I've seen an extraordinary change in my son, Travis. Travis, are you still with us, or did you fall asleep because you're tired?
I'm here.
But Travis, the change I've seen in you in the last 4 months has been just phenomenal. And I'd like to thank Amy publicly and you publicly for taking it on and making it all work so well for you.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Amy.
Yeah, you're welcome. You did it for yourself by being open. I mean, you were pretty closed at first, but you were curious enough to look into it, and you wanted to see what your dad was getting himself into.
I'll never forget, Amy.
I'm always one for researching things anyway. I like to have all the information.
The first reading that you gave to Travis, which I on the face of it, I didn't think was right on or whatever, and he was in the other room when you and he were talking, and then the show ended, and the door opened, and he stood there with his hands on his hips and said, "Dad, what are you doing to me?" Truth is, it wasn't doing anything to him. He was doing it for himself.
Yeah, well, it was a really eye-opening thing that she just was able to peg everything that was going on, my thought processes, even, and everything. So
you said something. You've never gone. You said something like a long time ago that I've never asked you about, and I've been meaning to for so long. There was a show about fairies, leprechauns, and unicorns, and you said something about, because I was going to ask you, like, as a guy, what was that like to listen to that crazy show, and how you were open-minded enough to reflect back and remember that did you have a fairy when you were a kid or something, or you met a fairy, or what was that experience?
Yeah, because I was talking to Dad about it, and I think I was subconsciously trying to remember it, and I was just kind of running through the whole show with him, and I remembered that there was a fairy that would come into my bedroom, and I remember it was sometime early elementary school, so 6, 7 years old maybe, and it was this little, how do I describe this? Like the body of a butterfly, but surrounded in light. And it would like pop into my bedroom, and it would just kind of hover in the corner for a minute, and then it would leave. And it happened multiple times.
That is so cool. And you just had no idea what that was? You were just kind of like,
Yeah, it was just like, kind of curious about it. And then I never brought it up because it was always kind of in that point where I was going to bed or I was waking up or whatever. And it was just like pop in for a second, felt like it was looking at me, and then it would just peace out.
So cool.
And then it would come back every so often, just kind of randomly. It was just like, I don't know if I'm seeing this or is this a part of life? I don't know what's going on, so I'm just going to go ahead and not bring it up.
See, so, it's those things that are the supernatural experiences. When you feel like you have to kind of cover it up and not talk about it, that's when you know that you've just experienced something kind of paranormal. In terms of like these types of things.
Okay, speaking of paranormal.
Yeah.
One time when I was probably around 10, there was when Dad was on the road a lot, and he had been gone for about 3 days. And I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. My door faced down the stairs. I walked out of my door, turned left to go to the bathroom, realized there was somebody standing at the bottom of the stairs. Looked, and Dad was standing at the bottom of the stairs just looking at me. And I blinked, rubbed my eyes, and then he was gone.
Whoa.
And he's obviously not dead.
not hardly.
And he wasn't there? He wasn't like sleepwalking or something?
No, he was gone. He was in like Arkansas or someplace.
Whoa.
And he was fully dressed.
So,
which if he was home,
dressed.
He's not fully dressed. Like
that's crazy.
Like you were dressed for a meeting, Dad.
Well, and that
did
that
you ever
happens
tell him
all.
that?
No, he never did.
So.
Nope, never said.
But
the thing is that I was the rare distinction of being a traveling chicken salesman. So I sold chicken to companies across the United States, and oftentimes I would be having a quiet moment thinking about what was going on at home because I missed my kids and I missed being around them. I missed my dog. I even missed that woman. But in any event,
that woman.
But I would think about them. Is it possible that what he saw was real?
Yeah, he was probably your higher self, or like a representation of you. So yeah, absolutely. I see that kind of stuff all the time. People that are alive and dead. It doesn't matter. I'll look over and see them, and I'm like, hey, what do you have to say? What are you doing here? So yeah, it was probably your dad just thinking about you, or maybe, if you should see something like that again, you should just ask it. Just be like, you have something to say? What are you doing here? Just start asking it questions, or feel into it. But I think he was just checking on you.
Yeah.
How old were you when that happened?
I was around 10.
That's so interesting.
10 or 11, something like that.
I missed them terribly when I was on the road, and I really wanted to be there for them, and which is ultimately the reason why a couple of years later I came off the road, because I really wanted to be with them, and I wanted to watch them grow up and to become the fine men that they are today. So it was really quite extraordinary. But he never told me that one. I'm not sure how I would have taken that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but so now, Amy, just as a final thought before we go, now that he has recollected seeing fairies, seeing me, that's he's got a gift that he can develop, doesn't he?
Yeah, we all do. We can all tap into the other side, and it's going to be easier as the new Earth is formed. Within the next few months, our intuitions are just going to get really, that much way stronger than ever before. And we're going to be able to telepathically communicate with one another and send each other messages. And, pretty soon, or I don't know how much time it'll take, but in a while, no one's going to be able to lie anymore, so you may as well learn to get honest now. Because the person across from you is going to be like, yeah, that's not true, So, yeah, learn to get honest and have integrity now. That would be my advice.
Honesty and integrity. What a concept.
Yeah, just be clear.
That's a really good
Speak your
idea.
truth and be clear.
Speak your truth and be clear.
You know, if you're
Go ahead.
Well, when you're not used to practicing boundaries, it can seem like really convoluted. It can seem like you're not sure how to tell the truth from manipulation, because it all kind of seems like an automatic mechanism that you just automatically do subconsciously, and you're not even aware of it. All you think is, I feel really uncomfortable being around this situation, but I still do it, because if I didn't, and then you fill in the blank. So it's like, take care of that if I didn't, to the point where you don't need that part. And then you're going to be able to stand in your confidence. And you really don't need anything in that blank part. You really don't. You know, learn to supply that for yourself, and then you're not going to worry about it. It's kind of like, you know, they say as a girl, don't go into buy, or don't actually anybody. You walk into a car lot and don't, what do they say? Don't feel like you have to buy something. You know, be able to just walk away. And that should be in any given situation. You just walk in there and you say, okay, this is what I want. And if they try to barter back and forth and they try to do all this crazy stuff, and you know what you want, what you're going in with, and this is what I'm going to pay, and if it's anything like this, then I'm just going to walk away, then you're standing in your power and you have more confidence. And most times when you go to walk away, they're going to respect you. And they're going to go, oh, well, I'll give it to you at your price, you know.
I have a real quick story about that, if I may, because this could actually be beneficial for folks. 5 years ago, I went to buy a new car because I needed a new car, and as common practice is in new car lots, they have a suggested retail price, manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then they also have a second sticker. Now that second sticker will have a bunch of stuff on it that says, okay, this is extra and this is extra and this is extra, and so this is what it is. You add the two together, and that's how much they want you to pay for the car. I go to a car dealership. When I'm looking for it and I'm talking to the salesperson, it has a second sticker. And I say, first of all, let's be clear. I'm not paying the second sticker. Oh, don't worry about that. That's just there because of course, you're not going to pay that. Well, we go inside to talk numbers, and the second sticker is involved in those numbers. It's MSRP plus a second sticker, and that's what she said. Well, the car's now $19,000 or whatever it was. And I said, no, you don't understand. I'm not going to pay the second sticker. She said, oh, but that's stuff that you have to pay. We all have to do that. I said, well, you know what? Thank you very much. I have to go to work. Never went back. Went to another dealership, and I said, same thing. She said, you like this car? And I said, I do, but I'm not paying the second sticker. She said, what second sticker? And I said, this one right here, I'm not paying it. She said, I know, you're not paying it, and we're not going to charge you for it. And because I made it clear at that moment that wasn't, then they still got their money. It was a better deal than I would have got at the other place. But if you set your boundaries and you're firm with them, then you're okay, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just know what you're okay with going in and stand by that. And you don't have to be a jerk, you know what I mean? I mean, you can be gentle, you can be kind, you can be firm, and loving, but also not give a crap.
Well, yeah, and see, and the first gal, she was going to. I said I have to go to work, and she said, when can you come back? And I said, tomorrow or day after tomorrow. I have a day off, and she said, well, I'm off that day too, but I'll come in. I was even nice enough to call the dealership the next day and say I'm not going to be there, so let her have her day off.
Cool.
And then, of course, they called back and said, well, but now wait a minute, why aren't you going to come back? And I at that point, there was no point even discussing with it. I have one more quick story for you. It involves cars. Okay. I was the vice president of the Parent-Teacher Council. The president of the Parent-Teacher Council was a car salesman at a local car lot. And he put out this thing that said, anybody in the parent-teacher group, I will go $100 above suggested retail price. That's it. I'm just going to make $100. So I go there to talk to him about it. He shows me an invoice. He shows me this van that we were going to buy. The van was a stripped-down version, and it was kind of expensive. So I went to another car dealership, which is, they have what's called the no-dicker sticker, and it was a much, much more tricked-out version of the same vehicle for less money. So rather than going back to him, so I ended up buying that car. And rather than going back to him and trying to make him lower his price or negotiate with him, I assumed, based upon what he told me, that was the best he could do. So I wasn't going. So I believed him as a human being that he was telling me the truth. So when I bought the car or the van, and then we met the next time, he said, "Well, why didn't you come back to me and tell me I had lowered the price?"
You're like, what?
I said, so you were basically lying to me the entire time.
Wow.
And then he let me drive the van.
That was
and then the van was no more.
But that wasn't his fault. He had a kid that ran into him. So anyway, but that was, that's, in my mind, I did a good job of setting the boundaries there. And it doesn't have to be that you don't have to fret about it. It's like, this is what he said, this is what happened, and that's just the way it is. Sorry.
Yeah,
but
you did buy.
I was going to say, I did buy him a bottle of his favorite booze to try and soften the blow. Didn't help.
That's great. That's funny.
So.
Yeah, and I was going to say too that I've had people come in and want free readings sometimes because we're downtown Boulder. We've got homeless people and people from all walks of life and going through all kinds of things. And depending on the situation and who comes before me, if I feel like, I'll feel them out and fill out the situation and ask my guides what they think and everything. But they can get a response anywhere from, excuse me, you can turn around right now. We are not even going to have this discussion. Or I'll physically stand up and push them out of my area and talk to them outside my area because I don't even want them in there. Or I may say, if you're not going to be straight with me, if you're not going to be listening, actually doing the work on your part, then you need to not be coming back to me because I don't want you to keep paying me if you're not going to actually get something out of this. They could get those reactions, or other reactions they might get is, please come back here. Let's have some privacy. I'm going to close this door and I'm going to listen to you right now and I'm going to give you my whole heart and you don't have to pay me a cent. Or they'll get that, plus I'll go out and buy them a book myself out of my own pocket because I know that they need it and I know that it's going to really impact their life. And that's all depending on how sincere they are with me and how, it's like, and also how real are they being with themselves? How real are they being with me? Are they manipulating me? Will this benefit them if I help them? Or is this going to hinder them or enable them? So you have to kind of learn to discern as you go along and kind of reward the good behavior and either ignore or be stern with the bad behavior so that people can learn their consequences in dealing with you. And
the moral of that story is, don't lie to Amy. She can see right through it.
Don't lie to anybody. Don't lie to anybody.
Honesty and integrity is the way to go because
and
then
don't take that.
Exactly. So, anyway, we've been talking with, again, Amy Satori. Go to her website, www.amysatori.com. Contact her. Get a reading. Have a session with her. She can really help you. And don't forget about the light languages. She can help you with that, too. So if you have a question for that, go to her website, email her, and you guys can figure out how it goes from there. So, Amy, again, thank you so much for doing this podcast. This has been going on for a while, so we do need to wrap it up. But you are an awesome person. I thank you for being my friend.
Thank you as well. And thank you for listening, everybody.
Is there anything you'd like to say before we end?
Just remember that fear isn't real. Set your boundaries. Don't worry about what you're going to lose. Just do what's right for you.
And forever trust in who you really are, because then nothing else matters. We'll see you next time on The Satori Show.
You've been listening to The Satori Show. Please visit Amy's website, www.amysatori.com, to find out more about this incredible talent. The views expressed during this podcast are those of the host, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of management or the owners of this podcast. What you need to know is that Amy is a wonderful teacher, guide, and communicator for the unseen world. What she does not pretend to be is a doctor, fortune teller, seer of world events, or predictor of what is to come. What Amy presents is real, based on her understanding of the world and communication with that unseen world. As always, you're free to decide for yourself as to what to believe. Regardless, we love and accept you completely just as you are. And thanks again for listening to The Satori Show.